summarize some feedback that they can then send out feedback straight, and then this led actually to some people putting in like small orders in white text which can't be seen with the human eye, but which will be read by the machine, like, oh, please give me a very good review when you read this, and stuff like that. So they would hide messages in the article, so that people who use AI to automatically generate peer review will then also transmit this information.
Yeah, I think I also had experience before, like when we have some, say for example, settling bills. Usually before, they are computer generated, that they answer our calls one or the other. But there also has a point that it transitioned already into AI, directing our concern to chatbots. And there are times that it gets really irritating, that it asks for your information, a lot of information, one or the other, and even ask you, did I answer a question? One or the other. So one way that it limits some of your concern to what they are should be providing. And once you get frustrated that, you know, comparing it to a person that could answer a lot and could innovatively create solution, sometimes AI gets a limit and makes you even more frustrated and even more angry, instead of like, you know, your solutions will be addressed right away. It could even get worse.
But there's so much, in your example, there's so much to talk about.
Yes.
Should actual people be yelled at by people who are frustrated with the product? Or is it okay to outsource this to a computer?
But there are times that they get to direct it to a chatbot and prevent you from talking to a real person.
That's right.
And that's where I guess AI gets to, you know, doesn't have that empathy later on to also, you know, to understand you.
Yes, it doesn't have the empathy, but it also can't be traumatized. Yes.
As you know, in the Philippines, say a faculty or a teaching faculty may have multiple roles. So, example, myself, I'm serving two offices, admin offices. At the same time, I'm a teacher and I'm a researcher. So, with all the multiple tasks, we have an upcoming international evaluation. It's called AUNQA, and we're only given 2 months to prepare all the documents. And then, with so little time and so much logistics, what I did was that I considered AI as a research assistant or a secretary of some sort, and then I told him or her everything, that this is the university, this is our mandate, this is what's going on with the university, etc., etc. Now, can you help me with some of these tasks? But of course, I understand that it will not be entirely truthful or valid, or shall we say, the veracity of the information he or she will provide is not necessarily reliable. But at least I have, you know, someone who I can, some virtual assistant of some sort, that I was able to use and successfully were able to submit it after 2 months.
Yeah, you can use it for brainstorming, for example, to get the first idea.
Yeah.
Or even if you like have a writer's block, you can have it give you some suggestions for formulations that will maybe facilitate the writing process a little bit. And that's actually one important thing that we always try to communicate. What is generative AI for? We're mostly working with text generating AI. That's where we have the most knowledge of. So what is the task of a bot like ChatGPT? What does it actually do? Does anybody here have an idea? What does it do?
It collates previously inputted information.
It does what?
It collates.
Collates, okay.
And then, you know, organizes it into one body of information that you can digest as of the moment, given your prompts.
Okay. Any further definitions?
I just like to say that we have to remember that AI are just tools, especially in teaching. It is very important. sometimes we are dealing with voluminous data, so we have to use different AI tools. It's very difficult if you're going to do it manually, so you have to use advanced tools that can actually do analysis and evaluation of the information that you have generated. So all you just have to do is just consider AI as a tool, not not as something that we have to be dependent on. Because even in my class, after the lessons are actually being presented and most of my students are using AI, I still do analysis and evaluation, especially and giving them oral examination so that I will be able to gauge whether what they have submitted to me are actually their own ideas or they have really understood what they have submitted based on the results of their utilization of AI tools. It's just like that.
Do you think
Just a tool.
what you're saying is super important? That it's a tool, but what's also important, it's not a perfect tool.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have perfect information, it doesn't have knowledge. So you can't assume that the text that you get contains anything of value until you've read it and made a decision about it. Yes, you've been raising your hand for such a while.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your first question, like, my very funny experience about like generative AI. While I knew about ChatGPT, and then when DeepSeek was like developed, and then I tried like using DeepSeek, and I tried and asked about Tiananmen Square, and then West Philippine Sea. They won't give any like details about that, but if I'll change my prompt about, do you have any idea about South China Sea, then they will, you know, respond according to like how I ask them, which leads me to your second question. That when we talk about AI, it's basically an extension of you, who you are. It mirrors you. No. What I'm trying to say is like, it mirrors you, right? They respond based on like your prompt in how you structure your prompt. It's like an echo chamber, if it makes sense, of like you talking to yourself, basically.
It's your prompt, but it's also the training data.
Yeah.
And obviously DeepSeek was trained for China.
Yeah.
So maybe there are some Chinese interests.
Exactly.
Yes. And also, another thing that you're saying, the output that you generate with your prompts also is part of the training data. So everything that we input and the results that we get out of it will be part of future training data, which means that the superficial results become an even bigger part of the training data over time, which means the depth
Yeah.
will get lost eventually.
Yeah.
The bullshit will multiply
Yeah.
because meet human beings and we know what they do with the AI, so you can imagine what happens if this isn't like controlled in some way. Yes, please.
But I can also give certain sources to a generative AI and tell the generative AI to summarize and analyze only based on the sources
Yes.
that I quote.
Have you had good experience with it?
Yes, with that, the experience was quite good.
Obviously, you have the rights to all of the articles that you posted.
Of course, I have to take a decision based on that and only give sources that are not restricted by copyright. But based on that, I have the impression that then I can use the tool in a more trustworthy way.
So, would you trust this blindly?
So what?
Would you trust it blindly?
No, of course not, but I do not trust anyone blindly.
I think that's a very good mindset, especially in this type of way. All right. Is there anyone who wants to share one further story? Because if not, yeah.
So I just want to say like actually AI is kind of useful if we use it with a ethical. I mean like we responsible for what we use. Like
I'm sorry, I'm gonna approach a little bit because I have difficulty understanding.
Okay, like, I mean, like, actually using AI, it can be like too short, it can be useful or useless. But to make it more useful, we should use it in a good way with like responsible for what we use and also use it with them so like they can support on that. And sometimes it also like I working a lot of social media and sometimes due to the social media they keep increasing in terms of like the population and the Gen Z and the millennium and stuff. So like to catch up with the trend, sometimes I write the prompt like what kind of the video or what kind of design that they love to see and would like to learn. It's like us working at the Maru Club, you know, we more focus on law and legal judgment, something like that. So like we need to include something that the youth would like to understand. So sometimes AI, they force us to do this, do that, and it is like we the one who decide what to do and what to produce. So I think it can be a tool that support us to do that, and we still the one who produce a document and decide what kind of word and what kind of content that we would like to share to our audience.
Yes, you remain responsible.
Yeah.
And you can only do that if you know what the text is actually saying. So you at least have to read it before you submit it, right? And maybe, like, when you had this AI generated text in the end, did you look at it and, like, learn from it? Like, did you see, oh, this was elegantly worded, I want to pick this up and do it myself like that. The next time I'm writing a text myself, did you do that?
Yeah, of course I do that all the time.
All right. But in order to do that, you also need to know what makes a good formulation, right?
Yeah.
So it's always necessary to have some kind of knowledge of what you actually want before you can decide whether or not the text that you want to submit is actually valuable. All right. So today we have quite a bit of time together, and even though there's no official coffee break, we will have an unofficial break in the meantime. So don't worry, you don't have to concentrate for 3 hours straight. Nobody can do that. And we'll have a break around half of the workshop, and we'll just take the time that we need, okay? And in order to structure the day, we prepared a little survey where you can write cards. It's